Welcome to the Improve81 podcast. Since 2020, we've been having a series of conversations about how the I-81 Corridor Improvement Program is working to enhance safety and traffic flow on the interstate's 325-mile journey through Virginia. The CIP, also known as Improve81, provides the Virginia Department of Transportation with funding and guidance for construction projects and operational improvements. I'm Ken Slack, Communications Coordinator for Improve81, and joining me is Dave Covington, VDOT's I-81 Program Delivery Director. Now, we've recently had some significant changes to the CIP, and we're going to break it all down for you in this podcast. So, Dave, at the top of the list is new, maybe in quotes, it's a new widening project between Salem and Christiansburg.
Yes, and this is an exciting and much-needed addition to the original 64 capital improvement projects. As you are aware, the widening up from exit 128 to exit 137 in the northbound direction was included in the first 64 projects to be delivered. However, there was also a need identified for the southbound side between the same interchanges that was not included in the first 64 projects.
So we know the need is there for that stretch of the interstate in both directions, and also a benefit to doing those projects at the same time.
Absolutely. The need was identified in the 2019 I-81 Corridor Improvement Plan. The efficiency of delivery was identified by the project team. The project team identified an opportunity to accelerate improvements while also saving quite a bit of taxpayer dollars. The team performed high-level cost estimates and determined that approximately $70 million could be saved by delivering both projects, northbound and southbound, under one construction contract. Those savings include construction efficiency, elimination of rework that would have been required in the median. In October of 2023, this concept was brought to the I-81 committee during their biannual meeting. Based on the information provided, the I-81 committee recommended accelerating the project for concurrent delivery with the northbound widening to the Commonwealth Transportation Board. The Commonwealth Transportation Board agreed with this approach and formally added the southbound widening between exit 137 and exit 128 to the I-81 Corridor Improvement Program. This enables VDOT to design and construct the projects under a single construction contract. This inclusion in the program highlights how the I-81 Committee and the Commonwealth Transportation Board managed the I-81 Corridor Improvement Program over time.
So we're talking about 9 miles of widening in both directions, and this is a challenging mountainous area, so this is certainly going to be a sizable project. So give us an early idea of what we're talking about as far as budget and the schedule.
So, of course, all of this just recently occurred, but we do anticipate that this combined contract could be valued at greater than $600 million. It will become the single largest project within the I-81 Corridor Improvement Program. Regarding schedule, we are focused on accelerating these two projects as one project as quickly as possible. We anticipate that we can begin the procurement of a design-build contract to deliver the project in the summer of 2025 and anticipate that the project will take approximately 6 years to construct. I will state that these dates are approximate because there is a lot of information that needs to be gathered before we can develop an accurate delivery schedule.
This is an immense project and 6 years of construction, so no doubt we're going to be talking more about that one in podcasts to come, so to speak. But also wanted to touch on another project. This one's in Rockbridge County, and there the original CIP included an extensive shoulder widening project, but we've also seen a major change there.
Well, we just spoke about making decisions about how we deliver projects based on recognized opportunity, and that applies in this case as well. The list of 64 capital improvement projects included a roughly 9 or 10 mile shoulder widening project in the southbound direction. And I want to give people kind of a sense of where this is at. So exit 205 in Rafine, large truck stops. I'm sure you've driven past them plenty of times. South to exit 200 in Fairfield, and then south further to exit 195. So if you envision that section of the corridor, what it would have looked like would be a wider shoulder through that area. And right now it has very narrow shoulders. But what we were able to do was recognize an opportunity to, instead of providing a wider shoulder, providing an actual third lane plus wider shoulders. So what we did was converted that shoulder widening project into a third lane project from exit 205 to exit 200. So this is from Rafine to Fairfield. There's also identified a need in the I-81 corridor improvement plan to widen from Fairfield to the Route 11 interchange there at exit 195. So if we know that's coming, I think we made a good decision in converting that first 5 miles to a 3-lane section plus wider shoulders so that in the future we can build the next 5 miles. Well, then there's another project to build additional 3rd-lane section. So what we end up with in the future, instead of having this shoulder widening for a portion, is that we end up with a full 3-lane section with full width shoulders all the way from Rafine to the I-64 interchange. It is important because of the number of trucks, heavy trucks, that are entering the interstate from those travel plazas at exit 205. And many of those trucks are looking to go west on I-64. So they can enter the interstate, never have to merge through traffic, and exit the interstate at I-64 in that right lane.
So if I understand this correctly, we would have been doing a shoulder widening from, say, Rafine to Lexington exit 195, then at some point in the future, come back and done a full widening from Fairfield to Lexington in part of that stretch. You're kind of going back and doing the widening on a section that you've already done shoulder widening for. Instead, we'll do partial widening now and then the other section of widening a little bit later in the future.
That's exactly correct. What we're trying to do is prevent rework. So if we go out and widen the shoulder, that doesn't guarantee that we can just go out and put in a 3rd lane in the future. I mean, there's reconstruction that has to occur to make that happen. And it would be waste. So, we focused on efficiency. We focused on opportunity. And where can we save money? This is an area where we can save money and deliver better results.
So as you've been saying, we're seeing some gradual evolving of some of these projects that are identified as needs along the corridor. That includes a couple of good-sized projects, one in the Winchester area and another one in Christiansburg Mountain. So tell me what's been happening with those two projects.
Yes, there's 2 projects that are included in the first 64 projects. They are very large projects that are not yet fully funded. Those include the project coming down Christiansburg Mountain. So this is in the northbound direction. Project starts roughly mile marker 116, so a little bit short of the interchange that goes to Blacksburg and Christiansburg, all the way to the base of the mountain at exit 128. Now moving up north to the Winchester area, we do have the widening from exit 313 to exit 317, another very large project through an urban area, but it likely will be the next major project to be funded in the program and moved into the 6-year improvement program. So that is the distinction between the I-81 corridor improvement program, meaning that we have identified these projects and it signals that we are confident in that we are going to deliver these projects. Inclusion in the 6-year plan means that they are fully funded and we are able to begin working on the projects.
But handling them sometimes gives you a chance when you're working with these projects in the CIP to sort of strategize the best way to deliver them. And sometimes that means moving certain projects ahead of others that, if it makes sense for traffic management and safety and being able to get a better deal from the contractors.
Yeah, it is a really dynamic environment that we're working in within a program that has now 65 capital improvement projects and a whole host of operational projects. These things act as a system. They all act together. So, for instance, if you're driving the entire corridor through Virginia on I-81, you will experience multiple work zones, and all these things need to be considered: the timing, the funding, the impact to the traveling public, the contracting community, input from them. So, it is a dynamic environment, and I think that we have done a good job of making decisions to ensure efficient delivery of the projects.
Well, Dave Covington, I-81 Program Delivery Director for VDOT, thank you very much for joining us today and talk about the Improve 81 changes. I also want to thank the listeners of this Improve 81 podcast. VDOT now has dozens of these podcasts as well as videos that help show and tell what's happening on the I-81 corridor. Check out our videos, podcasts, as well as quarterly newsletters, an interactive map, and a whole lot more resources at improve81.org. And as always, we wish you safe travels.